Hey, this is Chris Liss of RotoWire TV. I'm here with Jeff Erickson. We just got back last weekend from Phoenix, Arizona, where we participated in the LABR drafts. LABR stands for the League of Alternative Baseball Reality, one of the industry's premier fantasy leagues. And Jeff, I wanted to just talk generally about what LABR is, what it means in the industry, what the origins are. So you were in it before I was, so why don't you give some background?
Sure. The very first one was a conference call. It was like 8 hours. It was John Hunt from USA Today that conjured this up basically during spring training down in Florida. Keith Olbermann was part of it. Only one member of the current league was in the original draft. That's Greg Ambrosius. It's a cool league because first of all, it's early. It's always early, in the first weekend in March. You just started spring training games. There's no consensus right now. We're starting to develop that, but at the same time, that groupthink just doesn't exist right now. So one thing that I like is all the experts really are trying to stake their claim on certain players, certain strategies.
To be honest, I'm pretty pleased with it from the sense that I think I got some good values. There are a couple of guys that I'm just pleased that I bought. Ichiro and Casey Jansen stand out.
So I got Pedroia and Ellsbury, and then I actually kind of like, when I got on the hill so far, I had Shields as my ace at 20, which is, it's okay. And then the two closers, potential closers. Balfour was coming back from knee surgery for 12. Sergio Santos for 8.
So this was the league that it was published in USA Today's Sports Weekly publication, right? And before, there were so many websites and ESPN.com and Yahoo
Before it was
Sports.
Sports Weekly even. It was Baseball Weekly, just Baseball Weekly. There was no Sports Weekly.
Right, and this was big, at the time when that's where people got their information. And as you said, Keith Olbermann was in the first one. Bill James, right? Was he in the first one? Bill James?
I think they might have had Peter Gammons. They drew, actually, the people they drew for those first couple ones were just big in baseball circles. Not too much. The fantasy industry was, on it. It was barely established at all. There were so few baseball only or fantasy only companies.
I feel good about executing the plan. Now, if we get finished with this and we don't win, then it's because the plan was bad.
It's a pretty good group of guys. I mean, it's guys who really know what they're doing, and this is a 12-team. The one I did was 12-team AL only, American League only. So you've got to fill 12 23-man rosters plus 6 reserves just from the American League. Right. So this is not your little mixed league draft of 12 teams where everybody's got a star player or even a player that gets at bats at every position.
So far, I like my starting pitching. I don't have any of the stars, but I've got Wade Davis, I've got Brett Myers at dirt cheap prices, $6 and $7. So, that works well. I'm not getting the Sabathias or the Weavers or the Verlanders, but, enough guys at those prices. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know. What did pitching go for? Sabathia 22 seems like kind of a bargain.
It's a really good tight pool. This and Tout Wars, I think those are the two main expert leagues, and they draw the best experts out there.
It's going to get a little bit ugly on some guys going forward. Hopefully I can find some bargains later on.
It's definitely where you have to constantly be thinking. You can't just you can not be on a player, but when you're not bidding on a player, A, you should be paying attention to how people are bidding, and B, you should be planning how you're going to build your roster when you've backed out on one particular player. Whereas in a draft, you've got a lot more time between your picks. You don't have to act. Whereas in an auction, every player could be the guy you want to fill your roster with.
We will be back with a more in-depth analysis of the actual LABR teams in a subsequent video.